The road to WrestleMania has finally arrived, and at the end of that road was a harbor that is going to lead us out to sea. And that sea is Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay. This is Tap Out Talk, preview and predictions, WrestleMania. You hear that explosion and you know it is WrestleMania season. I am Tap Out Talk, Bryan Adkins. With me again is my main man and radio sports personality, Nicky T. Michaels. Welcome, Nick.
I'm not a radio god this time.
You're not a radio god this time because, I wanted to, base it down.
I thought it was on JBL's level there.
Okay, you know what? Let's redo this. And radio god Nicky T. Michaels in the house.
I need a cowboy hat and the stock market chimes and everything, and I'd be right at home. Hey, thanks for having me again, Bryan.
No problem. And I'm glad that you were able to come back. And we have, and again, you are a Tap Out Talk Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
We have Tap Out Talk preview and predictions. It is WrestleMania week coming up. And this is our Super Bowl. This is the biggest event of the year. And speaking of Super Bowls, WrestleMania is going to be hosted in Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay, host of this year's Super Bowl that happened a few months ago. And I understand we're going to have live attendance and fans. Is that correct?
Yep, 20,000 is what they had for the Super Bowl, and I've been told that is the same plan for WrestleMania. They were selling limited tickets. I do know that they also are going to do the same thing to where they were giving out tickets, Vince McMahon was, for the first responders. So, like they did for the Super Bowl. So, let's hope that the WrestleMania goes better than the Super Bowl did. That game was really boring, but I don't think that's going to happen with WrestleMania because you have a lot of great matchups.
We do, and let's get into it. Again, let's start in. Even though Nicky T. Michaels and myself are your hosts today, but your host for WrestleMania weekend will be the immortal Hulk Hogan, Hall of Famer, and Mr. Warrior Award, Titus O'Neil. So thoughts on our host and how this is going to look this year?
I'm really happy for Titus. Congratulations to him winning the Warrior Award for the Hall of Fame. Well-deserved for all of his charity work. And, of course, for his hometown, he is the hometown kid in Tampa Bay, Florida. I'm interested to see if they'll have a wrestler come out and he'll kind of beat them up to get the crowd excited and open the show. I just hope that Hulk Hogan realizes what city he's actually in and he doesn't screw up like he did at WrestleMania 30 when he hosted. And he said the Silverdome not once but twice when he was in the New Orleans Superdome. And I love how the fans really kind of yelled at him, and he was playing off the fans. And then The Rock and Stone Cold came out. That was an amazing moment when he opened WrestleMania 30. So hopefully, mentally, he is more prepared this time for when he's in Raymond James Stadium and doesn't think that he's in, Hard Rock Stadium.
I kind of glad you went there. I almost think he should just embrace the hate and, and when he's in Tampa Bay, say, I love Miami Beach, brother. Thunder in paradise here. And just let people just have it and give it to him, right? And then maybe play into it and let Titus actually kind of poke back at him a little bit. I think these two are going to surprise people with a fun dynamic back and forth because you got a younger guy and a little bit of a legend. It might be interesting to see. It'll be a lot more entertaining than last year's host of Gronk.
Yes. That was really putrid last year. I'm not a Gronk fan. I'm sure he'll show up because it's in Tampa Bay, he's, with the world champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he'll show up and maybe even win that stupid 24/7 belt. We'll talk about that later. Okay. But, we'll see what happens. Hulk Hogan, this is actually his residing hometown right now. This is where he lives, is Tampa. I don't know if you knew that Clearwater area.
Yep.
So I think he'll remember where he's at. Let's hope. I love Hulk Hogan. He's just that old, kind of burnout. You can just tell that he's not the Hulk Hogan of the 80s. But I love the fact that he has this on and off again relationship with Vince McMahon, and he is on again.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see he's back in the WWE and doing some events.
Well, and I know, you kind of talk about some people are like, oh, we need to move on from Hulk Hogan and not have him at this event. I completely disagree. You want to have Hulk Hogan as a legend at WrestleMania, and there will come a day in time where you wish you could have Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania, and you got to honor these guys while they're around.
He's He's one of the founding fathers of the WWE. You think of Hulk Hogan, Andre, even Macho Man Randy Savage, just to name a few, he's up there.
Yep. So definitely, keep it coming. And Titus, I'm looking to, help him with that interaction. And it's going to be a great lineup, and I'm excited to see how they interact with night 1 and 2.
Yes.
Let's get started before we get into night 1 or 2, let's get started with our some of our preview and predictions. Now, the reason I've got the women's tag team championships up here is because we're not all the way confirmed yet on this match, but what we're looking at doing is they're looking at having the women's tag titles on the WrestleMania card in some format. So the proposed idea and creative right now is to have in night 1 a fatal 4-way women's tag matches with a group of throw together women teams, like the Riot Squad is one, and then Natalia and somebody else is supposed to be thrown in together. And then what they're going to do is the winner of that match on night 1 will then go to night 2 of WrestleMania and get their tag title shot against Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. Thoughts on that match concept for the women tag team titles?
I like that they finally, over the past, it's been about a year now since they've had or is it 2 years since they've had the women's tag team? Yeah, it's 2 years now, hard to believe. But I love that they finally are giving the women the recognition that they deserve to kind of branch out and give more championships in that division. You know what? I would someday love to have a women's or not universal, a U.S. or even a Intercontinental Championship title. I think they deserve it. I really want them to continue to build the women's brand and division. That being said, these two women are, they're very dominant right now. They're red hot. They're on a winning streak. They're dominating the women's division. And I don't care who they throw in their way. I don't see any way that they don't walk out WrestleMania holding on to those tag team championships.
So that's a prediction.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're not losing the belts.
They're not. I agree with you. I think these ladies, Nia and Shayna, will continue with the titles. I made the mistake at last month's pay-per-view that they would lose the titles. I'm not making that mistake twice. Whoever they throw at them, they will retain. I'm a fan of Shayna since her days in the UFC and the Octagon, watching her fight. I did like her work. And then Nia Jax is the Andre the Giant of the women's division. Mm-hmm. And Vince has called her that, over and over again. Every time he sees her, he's like, how's the women's division? Andre the Giant of the women's division. So, yeah, these two are dominant. They got to almost hold on to these titles at this point to give this title relevancy. I'm going to be honest. Even though they have a night 1, night 2 plan, I feel like this has pre-show written all over it.
Yeah, I agree. I do. We have 2 great women's singles championship matches on the card, and unfortunately, some matches just have to get bumped to the pre-show, and I think they will be victim for both. I think both nights you'll have a tag team in the pre-show on Saturday night and Sunday night. So, yeah, it's just one of those. It really should be Bad Bunny and The Miz on the pre-show, but they won't do that because of marketing. They're really pushing Bad Bunny. But, yeah, again, I think this will be a pre-show, but, again, I think they win in dominating fashion.
Awesome. Let's get into night 1, April 10th, 2021. And let's go right into our first match. You have something to add?
Yes. Can I just interrupt you real quick? What do you think of this whole 2-night thing? Because at first I really didn't like it. But now I like the fact that they're doing 2 nights, Bryan, because it gives more time for some of these smaller feuds like a Cesaro Rollins. They can actually properly have a 20 to 25-minute match if they want to. I know a lot of people are excited about that, but I think it gives more detail to some of the mid-card matches for having 2 nights. At first, I hated the idea, but would you rather do, Bryan, a 2-night WrestleMania or a 1 7-hour show?
I'm going to go with option C in this multiple choice of neither.
Okay.
I see you, and I see your point. The 2-night format was nice for a quick change, but it is a little draining, and I'm a hardcore super fan, right? Mm-hmm. And it's sometimes for me to watch a Saturday and Sunday night show. I'm going to go a little old school here, and I don't want a 7-hour show either because that's a marathon. I like WrestleMania being a 3-hour show, maybe 4. Mm-hmm. You could talk me into 4. And I like the idea that you have your guys that are going to draw, and maybe you do bring in some outside people that you haven't seen in a while and some legends. But then I also am a fan of not everybody deserves to be at WrestleMania. And Vince has got this idea of, well, everybody deserves a WrestleMania chance and WrestleMania moment. But the reality is, if you worked for the company all year, you should be on that card. You've earned your right and you punched your ticket. But if you really aren't on there, I can't see throwing matches and guys on there just for the sake of being on there.
Right. Well, and just to piggyback off of that, I think the expansion of the rosters and the brand, the Raw brand is back to SmackDown, the separate branding, the women's revolution, and pushing them to where their women's division is absolutely huge, and having all these tag team matches and everything, and all these women on their rosters, I think also factors into the fact that they almost have to have 2 shows because it's so huge. And they're also marketing all over the world. Saudi Arabia, India, the UK, all over. Yeah. So I think that also factors in too.
At what point do we get to overexposure of the product?
If you're WWE and their stock is hurting right now, it's better than what it was, but it's still not great. And I think Vince is just trying to get as much as he can for the board of WWE now that they're a public company, trading company. WWE, he had to end it pretty much, and now they're with Peacock. And is this the first show or the second show on Peacock?
So this will be the second show on Peacock, but this show is going to be the first exclusive major. And they rolled the Peacock launch very quickly. I don't want to get into all of that controversy, but they rolled it out so quick because they knew WrestleMania was around the corner.
WWE is still hurting financially, so I think that this is Vince's way to try to bring in more profits and more marketing for his company.
Agreed. So I will be watching it'll be better with fans having a 2-night format versus last year it was just kind of in the empty stadium.
Oh, that was horrible. No crowd. I wish they would have had the Thunderdome last year.
It was the worst WrestleMania in my opinion and it wasn't necessarily the talent or the show, but it was just the atmosphere did not feel WrestleMania, and they tried their best. They really did. I can't fault them.
The fact that The Undertaker had to wrestle his final match without a crowd really bothers me. It was a phenomenal match. Go back and watch it with AJ Styles, the graveyard match or whatever. I loved it. The production quality, Paul Heyman took over, and he was magnificent with his play calling and everything because they basically said Paul Heyman ran that match, him and Triple H. So they did a magnificent job, but yeah, last year it sucked. I mean, I liked the Thunderdome because it was creative, and I wish they would have had that last year.
Last year we did have the emergence of the cinematography matches, like you mentioned, the Undertaker AJ Styles match, and we also had the Firefly Funhouse match with Cena.
Oh, that was fun. I loved that.
I loved it. Will we see something like that this year? We don't have to get into the whole thing. We will?
Yes. With the Fiend and Randy Orton.
I agree, and I'm looking forward to it.
I hope it's better than their WrestleMania 33 House of Horrors match. That was terrible.
I remember that.
Absolutely horrible.
Well, that was then. This is now.
Yep.
Let's get into night one.
Let's go.
So, preview and predictions. Our first match of night one on the card will be the Raw Tag Team Championships, The New Day, being represented by Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods against AJ Styles and Omos. Thoughts?
Man, oh man. Have the mighty have fallen. Poor AJ Styles. The fact that he might even be kicked to the pre-show makes me sick to my stomach if this is not one of the opening matches. I feel bad for AJ. He deserves to be a headliner. And the fact, this is the guy that pretty much just retired The Undertaker in his final career match. And he goes from that match last year, which was the match of the show last year. It was the best match, arguably behind Orton and Edge. And now he's facing the New Day, which I love the New Day. They're entertaining. But in a meaningless tag team match for me, I don't care about this match. I don't know about you, Brian, but I think you're really downgrading the superstar status and burying AJ Styles.
I agree 100%. When I look at this, and it's hard to add something because you hit it on the head. It's AJ was in the highlight match of last year with The Undertaker, and then you fall into a possible night one pre-show. I do look at this match and I say, okay, the New Day is slowly disintegrating because Big E is split off on his own. He's still part of them. So they're kind of breaking apart a little bit with the Big E being in the Intercontinental title scene. I will say this. I am very intrigued to see Omos wrestle a little bit because I don't know where the WWE hid this guy, but he just showed up on Raw one day. And I was like, who is this man? He's an impressive size, impressive stature. I never even seen him in NXT. So I was wowed by, where did they find this bodyguard at? And so I am intrigued by seeing him actually in the ring versus just kind of being the muscle on the outside. Mm-hmm. And AJ is a good wrestler. He can make matches look good. So
he will carry the match. Yes.
He will carry the match.
Yeah. I'll be interested. Kofi can wrestle too. Excuse me, I didn't mean to.
Oh yeah. Kofi can wrestle.
Yes.
I think Omos, this is a great match for him to debut on because it's safe with AJ as your partner.
Right. I shouldn't say it's a terrible match. I just don't really care for this match like I do Cesaro Rollins. Almost said Shane, but I don't care about that either. But Lashley and McIntyre in the main event. So.
Well, in this match too, the way they kind of build it, I remember Drew McIntyre had a bounty on his head, and we'll talk about this later, but everybody basically had a title shot if they could take him out with Bobby Lashley. And in a backstage skit on Raw, they kind of came up to AJ, and AJ goes, I'm not worried about the world title. We've got a championship tag match to worry about at Mania. And I'm thinking, that's where we're at? You don't care about world championships?
No.
You care about tag?
This is the problem. The Undertaker buried him last year at WrestleMania, and it looks like Vince is burying him this year at WrestleMania. Nothing personal, Vince, but I mean, if you don't want to lose AJ, he's going to leave the next time his contract's up. I mean, this is a perfect opportunity for him to go to AEW. I mean, this better be a one and done mid-card match for AJ Styles.
I'm licking my chops. Side note of AJ versus Kenny Omega, but with this match, where are you predicting what happens?
I think, I love Kofi, and Xavier Woods has grown on me over the years because I love what the New Day did. I agree with you. They're going to break them up. I think AJ and Omos, is it Omos?
Yep.
They get the win. AJ wins.
All right.
I don't see him losing back-to-back WrestleManias. Do you?
I don't. This is a tough one for me to pick just because you don't know what they're going to do. Yeah. And the New Day is slowly, they've lost their steam. I think they could still exist without the titles. I'm going to go with AJ and Omos as well. And
I'm keeping track, by the way.
Yeah, let's keep track because we're going to hold each other accountable here in another show. So right now we're both going the same route, and I think they'll use it to, one, give AJ the win, but feature his bodyguard a little bit more. And I kind of think of Shawn Michaels Diesel in that dynamic. And so
that's a good comparison.
I think that's a way WWE should go. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did go with the New Day and just kept it going. At the end of the day, does it matter? Maybe not. But let's go ahead and, are we good to the next one?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, our next match of night one, Cesaro versus Seth freaking Rollins.
I think, Brian, that this is going to be the show stealer. If it isn't Sasha and Bianca, which that should be a phenomenal match, this should be match of the night. I cannot wait. My only worry here is that they don't do a WrestleMania 27 where they screwed over Randy Orton and CM Punk, and that only got 5 minutes. And if you go back and watch, that was a phenomenal match. And I just hope that this gets the ode that it's due, because let me tell you, you have two of your best wrestlers in the company squaring off here. And there's a lot of... Over the years, Vince McMahon has publicly made it clear he's not a fan of Cesaro, Bryan. And I just hope that he finally gets his moment. I know he won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, but let's be honest, that's kind of become a joke. He needs a big win here. He needs this match really bad. And who better than to beat Seth freaking Rollins, who is I still think, the golden child in the company. He's been in the mid-card the last couple of years, but he had a great match last year with Kevin Owens, which was a very underrated match.
Yep.
So I can't wait for this one. I think it's going to be a fun match, and it could be the best wrestling match, maybe even the whole weekend.
Okay. I feel in my points, I want to talk about Cesaro a little bit.
Yeah.
Because, yes, you mentioned, I want to kind of piggyback on that, Vince has been very down on him for a while and just is never really attached to him. From what I gather is, which is just a kind of ridiculous reason in my opinion, is Vince has been known to say he's too book smart because he speaks 7 different languages. And I never understood that concept of he's too book smart because he can wrestle. And if he's smart and he speaks 7 different languages, you're a world-known company. Use him in those territories to speak those languages and be your ambassador. So if anything, he's got a work ethic. He's got a tough grit to him. Remember when he lost his teeth in the match when he was tagging with Sheamus?
Yep.
And he still finished that whole match.
He did.
So I look at Cesaro and I say he's been around a while. He's worked his butt off. And he's got a unique signature moves and he's got a lot of skill sets. I like a guy that can use old school moves like a European uppercut or the Cesaro swing, but yet he can still use some modern, and he keeps me interested when I watch him. So I am a fan of Cesaro. As you mentioned, Seth Rollins is kind of their golden boy, right? Mm-hmm. And he has been very highly featured in Mania. And so I'm actually looking at this, and this could be the show stealer if they're given enough time.
Yes.
But both of these guys can wrestle. Seth Rollins can wrestle, and I remember when I watched The Shield, I didn't see it coming until they really broke up, and I was like, wow, this guy really can be main event.
He was the best guy out of the three, absolutely. The thing I worry about, do you remember AJ Styles versus Nakamura a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
I was so excited for that match, and it was such a disappointment because they went with the very slow, brutal, Triple H kind of pace of the match, which did not fit their styles. These two guys are high flyers. They can go fast. Let them go full speed ahead and let them have a great match.
What's your prediction?
That's going to be tough. And real quick, if I might add this real quick, you hit it on the head earlier. Vince McMahon doesn't know how to handle or deal with Cesaro, and it kind of reminds me of the situation they had with Damian Sandow, or the same thing where he was very smart and they didn't know what to do with him. And I'm just hoping here, personally I'm rooting for Cesaro, but I think there's a bias still against Cesaro, and that's why I'm picking Seth Rollins. Hopefully, with me picking Rollins, it is a jinx on Rollins and Cesaro wins. So it's a reverse psychology pick here, but I'm going with Seth Rollins.
So it's funny you mentioned that because I thought you were going to go Cesaro. I am going to go Seth Rollins as well because I still feel with him coming back from his pregnancy leave with Becky Lynch, I feel Seth almost needs to reestablish himself with a WrestleMania win.
Right.
I don't think the WWE is still all the way sold on Cesaro, but I think they are starting to slowly warm up to doing stuff with him. At the end of the day, I do think they're not going to hurt Seth at WrestleMania, who is a main event WrestleMania talent.
I hate it for Cesaro, but real quick, congratulations to Becky and Seth, too.
Absolutely. Cesaro, though, I will be cheering for him, but I do. My pick is
safe bet,
Seth.
yes.
It's the safe bet.
The Vegas pick would be Seth Rollins.
That's the over-under, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, our next match. I know you're looking forward to this one. The Train Machine, Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon.
Can we just make our pick and move on to the next match, or what?
Not liking this one?
No. I didn't want to see it at Fastlane, and I don't want to see it at WrestleMania. This is a match that you have maybe on the SummerSlam pre-show in August. It's not a WrestleMania match. I'm sorry. These two do not mix. I know they say opposites attract, but not in this feud here. On paper, it should be a squash match. Braun should win. My pick is Braun, but I can also see them screwing him over and burying him with giving Shane a little cheap win thanks to his little entourage, who they've completely buried Gunner from TNA days. What's his name now? I even forget his. Elias's buddy, Drexler.
Oh, yes.
That's Gunner from TNA, remember him?
Now that you mention it, yes.
So they've completely buried him, and I like Elias on the mic, but he's a terrible wrestler. But anyways, the point here is this is a thrown-together match, and the build-up has been actually pretty terrible.
They tried to squeeze a lot in a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. You could tell they were really pushing this, and then they were going to have it at Fastlane, and then they kind of swerved it, which was the right call. You don't want to see this match a couple times in a row.
I don't want to see it at all.
I don't. Now, I'm going to sweeten the pot for you. You may change your mind. There is a stipulation added to this match just to sweeten the deal. It is now confirmed as a steel cage match.
No, I still don't want to see it.
No, I didn't think so.
No, here's the problem. Braun Strowman, I like him a lot. He needs a manager. He's not very good on the mic. Shane McMahon, I love him, but he's old. He's getting up there, and he can't move like he used to. He's not that Shane O'Mac from 2001 anymore. So this is a match maybe 5 years ago that would have been a little better, but I think it's going to disappoint, just like the Shane McMahon Undertaker match. And the only saving grace in that match was when Shane copied McFoley and dove onto a foam platform announce table.
You realize Braun was winning the title last year at Mania?
Yeah, and now he's being buried to losing to the or fighting the owner's son in WrestleMania the next year.
So my analysis on this, I am not a fan of this match either. I'm really not into it.
Nope.
I kind of hate every year how they have to force either Shane or Triple H or somebody like that into this match. I feel like they just kind of get an open pass and they take a spot.
I would love for him to face Triple H.
That'd be amazing.
Here's another thing. Why isn't Triple H on the card? Why is he, the last 2 or 3 years, he's been gone? Where is he ever since that horrible Batista match? He's been gone.
Where Batista tripped getting into the ring.
Oh, my God.
I feel that the McMahons have realized, when you give a spot to Triple H, and then you give another spot to Shane, and then you keep adding these, you guys like Goldberg, and there's only so much to go around. That's why WrestleMania is only 2 nights and not 5. So ultimately, I think I would love seeing Shane at these B-level pay-per-views, versus taking a spot at Mania.
Shane should be facing Seth Rollins, not Braun Strowman.
I like your idea of Shane and Triple H. Brother-in-laws.
No. Did I say that? I meant Braun versus Triple H. He would have been a better opponent than Shane.
Okay.
Because I think he has the physicality to take on Braun. Shane is going to get his butt kicked. I almost said another word, but I'm not sure what your PG level is here. But.
So the match itself, the steel cage doesn't do anything to me. It shows desperation.
No.
I know it's supposed to keep guys out, and the idea is they're playing on the face. Oh, I'm going to get you in the cage and lock you up so I can get my hands on you. Fair enough, whatever. Mm-hmm. I look at this. It's a little desperate. It's thrown together.
Yep.
If we're going to go predictions, I know you gave yours. What was it again officially?
Why? Well, and another thing is, why is Shane hanging out with Elias? That's really thrown together too, isn't it?
Yeah.
My prediction, unless Elias and Gunner, whatever his name is now, that's horrible. I can't remember his name. I think it's Drexler. Unless they get involved and screw Braun over, which is a possibility, the clear-cut favorite should be a squash win for Braun Strowman. I'm going with the big man. He's going to get, Shane's going to get those hands.
I believe, I agree with you again, 3 for 3. I believe it is Braun Strowman. He will be the winner of this match. He'll get his hands on Shane McMahon. And a little payback for the buildup of Shane calling him stupid and showing his report card and all the weirdness they did.
Yes.
So let's move ahead. Let's blow this match up.
All right. I can't wait for this one, Brian. This is going to be a fun one.
Okay. So this will be Sasha Banks versus the Women's Royal Rumble winner, Bianca Belair.
Yes.
The buildup for this match has actually been pretty good. They've had them as frenemies, tag teaming up, and I made the argument at my Fastlane predictions last month that they should have won the tag team titles and had this co-champion thing just to get some shine on the tag titles for the women's division. They did not go that route. I'll let it go. But they did break these guys up with the slap heard around the world as Sasha turned full heel and slapped Bianca, and she dropped to her knees, almost just crying. And so now that really has gotten this into full gear. There is some talk that this maybe should main event night 1 because Bianca is the Women's Royal Rumble winner.
Well, I would agree with that. I would love to see this as the final match. It's not going to happen. They're really pushing Drew, and he's earned his night in the sun. I think he main event one night last year too, Drew, didn't he, when he won the title?
He did.
But I mentioned to you how Cesaro Rollins could be the match of the night. This also, those two matches are going to go head to head for match of the night. I think if again they don't slow the pace of the match down. I hate when WWE slows the paces of the matches down. Let them go full steam ahead. I want to see this match. I've been really excited ever since Bianca won the Royal Rumble. I really thought that this was going to be a fun match at WrestleMania.
Who do you like in this one?
I like Bianca Belair. She's got the momentum. Sasha doesn't need this win. Bianca needs the push. If they're going to have Bianca be the next Trish Stratus or next top lady dog in the women's division, then I think she really needs this win. I don't think that you do what you did to Asuka against Charlotte Flair a couple years ago. I was really upset when they build up Asuka, and then they pretty much just destroyed her by having her lose to Charlotte Flair. So if Bianca was facing Charlotte Flair, I'd say she is screwed and she is doomed, and there goes her career. But because Sasha loves to put other, and that's the other thing about Sasha, she is 100% all about pushing her opponent and some of the young talent, and she is also, I've been told, very good in the locker room and a good mentor, and that's why I think Bianca's going to get the win over Sasha.
Okay, it's a good point and argument. I am going to go the counterpoint and argument.
Okay.
My prediction will be Sasha Banks will retain this title. And don't be surprised, this is not the end of this feud. This is only match 1. Mm-hmm. I believe this feud will carry on. I believe it also will include a returning Bayley to help her best friend get the win over Bianca Belair. So I do like Sasha in this one. I feel like Bianca is at the brisk, but I don't see her as a champion yet. And I feel like she still needs to chase the title down in order to win in the end game. But I feel that match 1 does go to the heel Sasha Banks. That's my final prediction.
I think this match is more important for Bianca Belair than it is for Sasha. Yes. Sasha she's already a Hall of Famer. If she were to retire after WrestleMania, she would be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. Bianca Belair, this is all about her night. I think she wins. I really do.
Yeah,
it's time to push the young talent.
I feel Bianca needs to have a good WrestleMania match and showing.
I think she will.
And I think she'll definitely perform. That's why I see her getting a bit of a screw job from Bayley or something of that nature, because I just feel like I need her to chase it a little more, because when you experience the sour, then it becomes really sweet when they win. So I'm going to be interested to see. I'm going to be watching that one now that we're on different sides of the field.
Let's agree to disagree.
All right. We're excited for this one. The Miz, my man, Team Bro-Hio, versus Bad Bunny.
Okay, next.
El Conejo.
Can I push the next button? Do we even have to pick this match?
Well,
so your boy The Miz goes from winning the championship. What was that at the end of the Elimination Chamber? Right, beat Drew McIntyre, loses 2 weeks later to Bobby Lashley, and now he is completely being buried to wrestling a guy, Bad Bunny, who is a Grammy Award winner. Yeah, good for him. I hate his music, by the way. This is all about publicity. This is your publicity match for WrestleMania. This is the match that will be on Yahoo, Google, that says, hey, pop star Bad Bunny defeats The Miz at WrestleMania, so that, like the Today Show, will mention it. This is all about publicity and PR. And if you like Bad Bunny, good for you guys. If you like The Miz, good for you. I know you're in love with him, Bryan. You love him. That's your bromance right there, your man crush, if you will. Do you want to add before I make my pick?
So
sorry.
This is publicity season.
Yeah.
As we mentioned in another podcast, WrestleMania is about bringing entertainers and stars with pro wrestlers. That's been like that since WrestleMania 1. Mm-hmm. This is this year's version of the publicity. They brought him in. Believe it or not, Bad Bunny is actually the #1 merchandise sales on WWE.com. This man does have a following.
I know.
They gave him the 24/7 championship. And
my grandma's won that belt too, by the way.
I heard.
So that doesn't really mean much to me.
He's dragged that title onto Saturday Night Live and took it at the Grammys, and then traded it back to R-Truth for a Stone Cold Steve Austin lunchbox. I went on a whole rant about that.
This is why I'm losing respect for WWE sometimes when they do stupid stuff like this. But
so they've used his name and pumped it out into the public. This originally was meant to be kind of a tag match with Morrison and
Damian Priest.
Damian Priest, thank you. And this they broke that away. They've trained Bad Bunny at their performance center for a few months, and that does tell me it's a little risky that they put him in a singles match, because they don't usually do that with their stars. So that tells me that he's progressed and he might surprise us with a decent match. Maybe Lawrence Taylor like at WrestleMania years ago against Bam Bam Bigelow. But I'm not really expecting much out of this match. I think it's going to be... I think The Miz will help. He wrestles a safe wrestling style. The Miz is money on the mic, And if I'm going to put a celebrity in the ring with somebody, he does wrestle a very safe style. He's not jumping off the top rope and going through tables. And so I do like that about The Miz. And he does enough mic work to where you don't have to hear Bad Bunny talk on the mic because you wouldn't understand him if he did. So ultimately, and the Miz and Morrison have had some fun scenes. Did you see the Hey Hey Hop Hop music video?
Yeah, I watched it.
And I like that he was kind of making fun of Bad Bunny and doing the white suit and then kind of it's a little trick because they put him in a Pink Bunny outfit. But I get it was parody, and it is sports entertainment. That's part of entertaining. But you're right. This will be on today, USA Today and Good Morning America. This is going to get the WWE publicity. I just hope, and I do hate the Bad Bunny stuff, and I really, really hope he just hippity hops all the way down his bunny trail and goes home after this, because I don't want to see him on WWE TV and be a constant. And I pranked you the other day on the podcast with the Hall of Fame, but he probably will be in a celebrity wing at some point. Hopefully, they'll keep this match under 10 minutes. There's no way this is going to be
10 minutes? How about 5?
It'll probably be under 5.
2. Can we have a Goldberg-style match where, come on, this is like, no one...
I think they should do the bunny hop. That should be his finisher move during the match. The bunny hop.
Where's Adam Rose when you need him?
That's what they need. They need Adam Rose's mascot, and they need...
I hope this is a pre-show. We're not that lucky, but this needs to be on the pre-show.
Yeah, but his following, they'll sell tickets with it.
Yeah.
So I am going to predict...
I'm going with Bad Bunny just because of the headlines. It's all about PR. I understand that aspect, so...
All right, this is where you bet with your wallet and not your heart. Miz, Mike, I'm sorry. Bad Bunny wins this match. Let's hop on.
Goodness, that's over.
This is the match. I have been excited for this match for a long time. If you look back on my podcast, episode 1, the story Road to Dominant, I featured these two wrestlers and said that this should be the match at Mania, and I'm getting what I want. Both of these guys on that podcast, I talked about how they were in that mid-card, and they had to actually leave the WWE to go be successful and see success in TNA and elsewhere. And then Bobby Lashley did a little MMA and Bellator, and then they had to come back to the WWE, and now here they are in the main event of night 1 of WrestleMania. And I love how they have McIntyre and Lashley set up. And I love it because McIntyre did lose the championship to The Miz, not via hook, but via crook. And he actually then, after Elimination Chamber with a Money in the Bank cash-in, after a Bobby Lashley beatdown, planted the seed for this feud. But Bobby Lashley did not beat McIntyre. So then Bobby Lashley is now in this match as champion because he beat The Miz. And so here we have Drew McIntyre chasing the way a face and a good guy should, his title and trying to get his title back. And so I do like the build-up for this match. I love how they've dabbled in these two interacting, but they never really faced one-on-one. And to me, this is what WrestleMania is about, is first-time matches and these guys battling for something major like this. Your thoughts, Nick?
Well, that's awesome that you're excited about this. I mean, I am a little bit. I'll watch it. This matchup doesn't pop out to me like the Sasha or Bianca Belair or even the Edge Daniel Bryan Roman match, but I still think it will be entertaining. You have two guys that have been in the business now for a long time. Lashley main evented WrestleMania against Umaga, correct?
That was the McMahon hair versus hair match with Trump.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's finally back. He did MMA, and I think he went to a couple of other wrestling promotions too. But he's finally getting the respect he deserves. I know some people don't like Bobby Lashley. He's not the greatest on the mic, but his saving grace as of late, you got to commend WWE for putting him with MVP. I think MVP has done a really nice job as his manager. And with that being said, with the whole, the Hurt Business, I like that, and they're kind of breaking it up right now, or making you think that they're going to break up, with those two being Shelton Benjamin and
Cedric Alexander.
Cedric Alexander, yes, being banned from ringside. But I think that's all a ploy. I think there's something cooking there. That's why I think there could be a screw job on Drew in this one. But I do think it's an intriguing matchup. Drew went from being a 3MB crony, jobber. Now he is headlining and main eventing WrestleManias. I love that he's made this wonderful comeback. And Vince McMahon once said when he first came to the company in his first stint that he is a future world champion, and that is coming to fruition. So congratulations to Drew on making your dreams come true. I think this is going to be a fun match. I don't know, Brian. What do you think? Do you think that the screw job might be coming here?
So I thought the exact same thing because it's just a little too soon for the Hurt Business to break up. They're one of the best things going on right now on TV. I do think even if they break up, MVP does stay with Bobby Lashley. I also could see a screw job finish like it's a little bit of a distraction, smoke and mirrors. I am still going to go, my prediction right now, Drew McIntyre will win back his WWE Championship. The WWE wanted Drew to have that moment last year, and it got robbed from him in front of a crowd. And even though he still got the title and beat Brock Lesnar, I feel like they want him to get this title shot and this win in front of fans.
Well, they're pushing him so he can be the next guy, you know?
Yep.
He can be that next Brock Lesnar.
And I feel like both of these guys are the next guy. The WWE is finally featuring guys that aren't past their prime. Mm-hmm. And they're actually just above their prime, right in that era. And I like the fact that they're starting to give these guys some shine. Also, I want to float this idea in the back of your head, and I talked about this before. Don't be surprised to possibly see Brock Lesnar in some format. Maybe not at Mania. He could be a special guest referee, but he could show up the next night on Raw because we know epic stuff happens the Monday after Mania.
Yeah.
Brock could show up in this feud sometime.
Revenge on Drew. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. So my pick. So you picked Drew McIntyre,
I did.
Correct? All right. So, and I also am going to pick Drew, but I can see this. Yes, Alexander and why do I keep forgetting? Alexander and Sheldon Benjamin are both banned from ringside, but who's the factor here? MVP is not. Right. MVP's got a cane, so all MVP has to do if he thinks that his boy Lashley's going to lose, you whack Drew over the head with the cane, disqualification. That'd be a horrible way to end the night. So if that happens, you hope that the ladies headline the show then. So if that match is early, you know that something big's going to happen. If this doesn't close the show, which it should, just keep in mind MVP could spoil Drew McIntyre's night. I don't think that happens. I'm going to go with the safe bet, and Drew wins his title back.
When you said the whacking with the cane on the head, I just had this image of Mr. Fuji. And I love Mr. Fuji. But I could see this going either way. And that's what makes WrestleMania matches great is when you really don't know and you could see the outcome go either way.
Right.
That's what we love about pro wrestling and not knowing the spoiler.
Right. And Braun Strowman needs a manager like a Paul Heyman or an MVP. Mm-hmm. Who's the guy for Umaga? I loved him. How come they don't bring him back? Armando Alejandro Estrada. Yes, I loved him. They need to bring back a manager. They need to feature the managers more. And more than just Paul Heyman.
I agree.
I mean, they have to have more,
Managers are key. I've always been a fan, especially when you have a guy like Bobby Lashley will never have mic skills.
No.
He's just one of those guys. He's got the right look. He can wrestle. Mm-hmm. He can go MMA style. He can go wrestling style. And if you let him talk for a little bit, it's not bad. But to do long promos, he needs an MVP. And this is where he's really starting to shine and be his brightest star.
And MVP, I think, has done a really nice job adding to this rivalry as well.
Yeah.
His mic skills. Because Drew's not the greatest on the mic either. He can carry himself, but he's not a John Cena, a Rock. He doesn't have that ability to carry on the mic.
So I know when we started talking about this match here, you weren't really excited about it, but I hear some excitement in your voice now that we don't know which way it's going to go. Has this changed your mind?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I will watch the match. It's not going to be like Bad Bunny and Miz where I skip through it when I watch it the next day.
Do you want to talk about that again?
No. But I do want to see this match. It's not exciting. It's not like Edge and Roman and Daniel Bryan excitement, but I would say it's about a 6 out of 10 excitement.
Okay. So that's going to be night 1, and you mentioned Edge and Roman and stuff. Night 2, that's going to happen. Let's go ahead and go to night 2. And night 2 of WrestleMania will be on April 11th, the following night.
My birthday. Happy birthday to me.
Happy early birthday, and let's see if you get some birthday wishes here on night 2. So what would be your birthday wish that you'd like to happen on night 2? Just throwing it out there.
Oh,
a Bad Bunny appearance.
No. CM Punk returning. No, that's not going to happen.
I'm going to get you a Bad Bunny autograph. I'm going to see if I can look it
Okay,
up
all
for you.
right. Yeah, whatever. In all honesty, I would love Edge is my favorite wrestler, so I would love to see him win. It's not going to happen, but I would love to see Edge win. That would be a good birthday bit.
Let's jump into night 2. All right, first matchup of night 2. We have the original bro, Matt Riddle, defending his U.S. championship against Sheamus. Getting his title shot. Sheamus was coming out of this really good buddy brawl with Drew McIntyre. Mm-hmm. He was on the losing end of that, and I thought that was a great match at Fastlane that they just went back and forth, and I felt like that did end it right. And now he got kind of swerved into this original bro match, and ironically, Riddle won this title off of Bobby Lashley. So it's interesting how these guys were feuding the main event of night 1, and now they're feuding each other for the U.S. title. So let's open it up with your thoughts.
So we have a future Hall of Famer, former world champion,
Riddle,
who dominated in Sheamus. He dominated the WWE when he first came on, and they were giving him legendary status from day one. Triple H really pushing him. And now he's gone to the mid-card of WrestleMania to facing a skater, stoner dude in Riddle. This is not a match I'm looking forward to. I hope it's one of those quick 5-minute matches. I feel like it's going to be very slow. I know a lot of young people like Riddle, and that's great, but he's just not for me.
You know, it's weird because a lot of people do like Riddle. I want to like Riddle because he's an MMA guy. You know, he was in UFC, and he's not a bad fighter. When you actually see his MMA work, he's a good fighter, but they've made him kind of cheesy and kind of bro this and bro that, and he's almost like a fifth or an extra member of the Scooby-Doo gang. And when I look at Riddle, I can't help but think of when Vince meets somebody. You always got to be careful what you say to him about your personal life, because he'll say, well, what are you into personally outside of wrestling? And whatever you say, he's going to turn that into your gimmick. Mm-hmm. And there's been a lot of guys that are like, oh, well, I like to do plumbing, or I used to be a trash can, a trash man. And all of a sudden, you're Duke the Dumpster Droese, and you're, Tatanka, the Native American, or, so Vince will take that. And I feel like there was some conversation with Riddle where Vince took it and just ran with it. Yep. And right now, it's a shame because I really want to like him. And as I watch him, he just comes across a little goofy to me.
Yeah, I agree. It's a gimmick. For some reason, Vince really likes him. Triple H, it seems like he likes him as well, I hear. He was popular in NXT, and again, there's a fan base for him, and that's great. But this match, let's just get right into the picks, because to me, it is the Universal. I keep saying that. The U.S. Championship. I'll be rooting for Sheamus. Die-hard Sheamus. I love Sheamus ever since he came onto the scene. I'll be rooting for him, but my pick will be Riddle. I think he'll retain.
I look at this, and this is a tough pick for me. Again, I think it would be smarter to put the title on Sheamus and keep him kind of elevated in that upper mid-card. I really think they will keep it on Riddle, and he'll get the upper hand because he's freshly won this title, and they do like something about him. So I am going to go Riddle, but man, I really want Sheamus just to kind of reclaim this and not lose some of his star power.
But sometimes in WWE, as everyone knows, it's not about what the fans want. It's what the brand wants and what the company wants.
It's very true. All right, from the U.S. title to the Intercontinental title, Big E, or Big E Langston, from the New Day, Intercontinental Champion, versus Apollo Crews, the Nigerian Prince. And I do love the reinvention of Apollo Crews here. These two actually locked up last month at Fastlane. And it was kind of a nice little quick match, and it was a weird finish because you thought Apollo Crews was going to pin him, but Big E kind of reversed it real quick and got a quick pin. And then Apollo beat him down and stood over his body and with his spear and everything. So I believe they have to. I'm going to make my prediction right now. I believe they will put this title on Apollo Crews. His character's fresh. He was always boring Apollo Crews to me. And now I feel like he's found his character and found what he can really tap into. And I think you got to strap this title on him and let him run with it. I think Big E with the title hasn't done anything since he won it last summer. And, honestly, I almost forgot that he was the Intercontinental Champion for a while.
I've always liked Big E ever since he came on and he was Dolph Ziggler's crony, and then he joined the New Day. Who would have guessed when he came onto the scene as Dolph Ziggler's bodyguard or muscle that he was so good on the mic? He is such an underrated wrestler with his mic skills. I really enjoy listening to him when he was part of the New Day, or is still part of the New Day. He's very entertaining. I love Big E, but I agree. For me, it's all about pushing the young talent. I know fans just want to see their favorites win, and it would be cool to see Big E win, but it doesn't make any sense. I think that they have reborn Apollo Crews with this Nigerian Prince theme that he's going with right now, and I think he gets the win. I think that's it pretty much.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go ahead. All right, best friends now fighting. Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. These two have wrestled before. They have great matches. They both grew up together as best friends. Mm-hmm. The chemistry is there. I believe this match will not disappoint. It's kind of given overlooked. They did invite, they started doing some weird stuff with this build-up, with having some the famous social media influencer in there and having them on SmackDown. And I just feel like they're trying to build this, but the reality is this match can build itself.
Oh, yeah. This is a rivalry 13 years in the making, even outside of the WWE days when they were both in Lucha Underground. And, they are best friends in real life. Sami was the best man at Kevin's wedding. So, I think this is a match that both of these guys have been looking forward to having the last couple years. Just unfortunate that they both have been injured at the wrong time. Sami, they were supposed to have this match a couple years ago. Sami got hurt, and then last year Kevin got hurt. Or no, I think it's the other way around. Yeah, Kevin got hurt first, and then Sami got hurt last year. So now that they're both healthy, hopefully they can have a great wrestling match. They wrestled a couple times in NXT, and they had a great rivalry in NXT a few years back. And I'm excited for this one. This is, again, a match that has built itself. You don't even really need the build-up. And I like how in NXT, Sami was the good guy and Kevin was the bad guy, and now they flipped the script. And it just shows how talented Sami is. He can play a heel or a babyface. And I'm actually excited. This could be one of the best wrestling matches of the weekend. We're gonna get right into the pick, or
yeah,
what do you
let's
want to
do it
here? I'm gonna go with my boy. I've always been a big Sami Zayn fan, and I think Sami finally gets his well-deserved push as Kevin won the first matchup at Battleground a couple years back.
Okay, so this will be another split decision on our end. I am going Kevin Owens. I believe Kevin is still that main event talent. And Chris Jericho, when he partnered with him a few years ago with their Festival of Friendship, and Chris really did him a service of building him up to that status and helping him when he was champ. And I believe he can't take a loss here. I believe in order to stay relevant in that upper mid card to lower upper card, I believe he has to progress his career. So he will beat Sami. So the face gets the win here in my pick. El Generico, Sami Zayn, will be defeated in this, and he will play the cowardly, whining heel like he knows how to do in this. So I am picking Kevin Owens.
Let's agree to disagree.
We have the women's title match coming up here for Raw, and it is the champion. Nobody is ready for Asuka versus Rhea Ripley.
Charlotte Flair was ready for Asuka.
Ooh.
To me, this is a no-brainer. I really think that this could even be a squash match. And a lot of people are going to be upset. I know my friend Craig Goodwin absolutely loves Asuka. She's very talented, but I think she's a tad bit overrated. I never have been 100% convinced that she could carry the women's brand. I think the lack of her, and this is not her fault, but she needs to learn some more English if she really wants to become the Charlotte Flair of the women's division. Rhea Ripley, she is bad. She's tough. She's a great wrestler. She's solid on the mic. I think Rhea Ripley is going to win the Raw Women's Championship on her first official match on the active roster.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to skip right to the prediction.
No, I feel that Rhea Ripley will win this title. I am a huge Asuka fan. I love her work. I love her streak. I love the way they built her up. And, it was still the right call to have her lose that streak. You can't keep it forever. But she was trained by one of the wrestling legends of all time, the Great Muta. And this Asuka is the real deal. Rhea Ripley will win this match because Rhea Ripley has already been deemed by wrestling royalty last year at Mania when Charlotte Flair said, I will take her on in a match. So therefore, she elevated her from NXT to a WrestleMania main status.
Charlotte took the step down to NXT just to face her, and I respect that.
Yeah, and that, to me, it was a fresh feud.
I don't get the Asuka, I don't get the Asuka hype, She's a great wrestler and everything, but Rhea Ripley, this is her night.
I do believe Rhea Ripley will be the pick here to win. Asuka, I hope this doesn't downward spiral her, but again, she's a strong character, so I think she'll be able to survive it enough.
It will be a great match, and I think Rhea gets the win. Excuse me.
And I do like the fact they put Rhea Ripley against Charlotte last year, and now they put her against Asuka this year. They're giving her caliber wrestlers to partner with to kind of groom her along, and they've got plans for Rhea Ripley. I can just see it building these last 2 years. They're giving her good, solid Mania matches. So I'm going Rhea, and you're going Rhea.
Yep.
All right, so we predicted here in the beginning that this could be our cinematic match of the night, and it should be. This match has been all the paranormal stuff. This match has actually been happening for a very long time. All the way back when Randy Orton kicked Husky Harris, the former Bray Wyatt character, and knocked him into being Bray Wyatt. And then, as he was Bray Wyatt, Randy infiltrated the Bray Wyatt family and tore it and burned it down from the middle. I know that's Seth Rollins' theme, but Randy Orton then took over and burnt down his house and killed his sister Abigail's spirit. And they had a match at Mania. I don't think it lived up to expectations. And then they had the House of Horrors match at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view.
Yes.
And that was kind of a rough watch. And this match somehow reignited. And I'm going to use that word ignited because they had the Inferno match that made Bray Wyatt change his character to what you see now with he looks a little mix of, he's burned, right? So he looks a little bit like Freddy Krueger with Slipknot mixed. And Randy has always gotten the better of Bray Wyatt, but since then at Fastlane, Bray has been gone. Alexa Bliss has been getting the better of Randy Orton, and it included the return of The Fiend. So now I'm looking at this as a final payoff match at Mania. And is this a Firefly Funhouse match where it's weird like last year with John Cena, or is this an actual match?
I think it's an actual match. You'll have some tricks thrown in there, but they should be in the ring this year, unlike last year where it was more of a nightmare. But I love what they did with John Cena last year. And I love this whole Fiend character because it's a rebirth of Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt lost to Randy Orton and John Cena both in WrestleMania. He lost to John Cena WrestleMania 30 and then Randy Orton WrestleMania 33. And I think the Fiend character is his revenge character. I love the fact that last year he used the Fiend. His version of the Fiend is like a Kane. And I love the fact he's like a New Age Kane kind of mixed in. And I think that it's all about redemption. And again, Randy Orton is Randy Orton. Does he really need another win or another accolade? This is all about Bray Wyatt getting his revenge like he did on John Cena last year in that match, if it was an official match or not. But I think this is a no-brainer for me. I think if WWE wants to continue to build Bray Wyatt up, but real quick, I love how they've taken Alexa Bliss and used her as kind of like a Harley Quinn kind of role, and been Bray's sidekick and really screwing with Randy Orton's mind. I like the whole thing. Was that at Fastlane where she faced Randy Orton? That was hilarious, and then he came back all burned up. I love that. I gotta think that Bray actually has some creative control, and he kind of rehearses his own matches because you can just tell this is not the normal WWE creative. This is Bray with his little twist on the match, and I think that WWE in the end will give Bray Wyatt the respect he deserves and give him an actual win at WrestleMania in the middle of a ring.
I agree. I'm really glad that you're my friend, and this is a friendship that'll never, ever end. It's definitely going to be the Fiend Bray Wyatt over Randy Orton. This is his revenge match. This can't carry on much longer. We would have thought that years ago, but it has been too much build up, too much history with these two. I'm looking for it to be a cinematography type matchup with some paranormal stuff mixed in. I believe you say Kane, I say Mick Foley.
Okay. Yeah.
He's got that.
Both.
He's got that alternate, identity that he's really looking at, and he kind of uses the Fiend as to protect his weaker character, Bray Wyatt. So, and Randy ruined that character, Bray Wyatt, and destroyed him mentally, which caused the birth of the Fiend. So I feel like, yeah, I agree with you. The Fiend is going to win this. I don't know Alexa Bliss's involvement in this match. I know she's going to be around.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I don't see, there's no way the WWE can give this to Randy and not let the Fiend survive. This man has survived being burned and being kicked and just really being crushed every time you think he's going to get it over on Randy.
Yeah, and don't you love Alexa Bliss? I really think she has added to this rivalry and kind of helped kickstart and rejuvenate it.
Well, what's nice about that is, I've said, Alexa Bliss has reinvented herself, and that is going to be longevity for her career. She is relevant without being in the women's title scene. And when the time comes for her to be back in the women's title scene, it's going to be fresh.
Yeah.
So we're both going with the Fiend on night 2. Let's go to our next match, which is our main event. We have the triple threat extravaganza of night 2 of WrestleMania. Roman Reigns, your Roman Empire, your head of the table, versus the Rated R superstar and 2021 Royal Rumble winner and comeback champion Edge, your birthday wish, and the Daniel Bryan, who is a nice story here, also mixed into the feud. I love the way this is built. It was originally supposed to be Roman Reigns versus Edge, spear versus spear. But the truth is, we're not 8 years old anymore. You can't base a match off of a move versus a move. They added Daniel Bryan. I normally hate WrestleMania triple threats because they just throw them together when they want somebody to eat a pinfall. I ultimately feel they actually did this appropriate with building up all the way back at Elimination Chamber with Bryan winning the Chamber and losing a title match to Roman, and then Bryan getting a rematch and getting screwed over by Edge. So now all of a sudden we are getting a triple threat match that actually means something. The last time that happened, I'm going to say WrestleMania 20 and WrestleMania 30. Those were the last triple threat matches that actually meant something. One did include Daniel Bryan, and the other included 3 Stars Long Gone. So when I look at this match, I want to give my thoughts on it, but I want to get your opening thoughts because I know we got a lot to discuss.
My opening thoughts, because we'll do predictions later. My opening thoughts, you love the story of Edge. Edge is back. He re-injured himself last year after that magnificent Royal Rumble return in that phenomenal match against Randy Orton at WrestleMania that no one's talking about. Go back and rewatch it. It was absolutely fantastic match. The fact that there was no crowd, I felt so bad for both of those guys because it was a great last man standing match. And Edge got the big comeback win there. And then Roman Reigns, I'm just blown away with Vince McMahon finally accepting the fact that the fans do not want him shoved down their throat, and he's never going to be on a John Cena or Hulk Hogan level, at least not for now. And maybe he's thinking, well, maybe I'll take the Rock approach. The Rock was turned into a heel. A lot of people forget that. And he was thrown into the Nation of Domination for a while. So they're trying to go with that slow approach, turn him heel for a while, and then maybe at the right time turn him back to a babyface and see if he can carry the company. He's not there yet, but I love what they're doing with this head of the table thing, where he's pretty much running SmackDown. With that Adam Pearce GM is pretty much just a puppet. And then on top of all that, you give him Paul Heyman. What a brilliant move.
Yeah.
What a brilliant move. Paul Heyman, since he doesn't have anything to do with Brock Lesnar being gone, even though he is one of the higher-ups, a lot of people don't realize this. Paul Heyman is calling a lot of the shots in the company right now, which he deservedly so. He's a brilliant mind in this industry. And I love what he's doing. And I've been told that this whole head of the table thing was Paul Heyman's idea. So you got to love the fact that Paul Heyman is doing everything in his power to kind of build up Roman Reigns into this mega heel. He's doing a great job. I stopped watching the sport for a long time, and then when you and my friend Craig told me that they were kind of doing the heel turn with Roman, I love the idea, and I think it is saving his character. And I kind of felt bad for Roman because Vince was shoving him down our throats so violently the last 4 or 5 years. Roman has to close the show. Roman has to beat The Undertaker. Roman has to beat Triple H. The fans were hating it, and then it led to WrestleMania 34 when Roman versus Brock Part 2. No one wanted to see it. The fans were booing, chanting, "This is boring, same old you know what? I don't know if you want me to cuss or not on your show. Same old shit." You can edit that out. But, and then he did the famous Vince swerve at the end. Okay, Brock will win then, just to shut these people up.
Yeah.
He finally has embraced the role of, okay, Roman, if we were going to properly save this young man's career and have him be the top dog, we're going to go with the Rock approach. So good for Vince and for Shane and Triple H for realizing that. That being said, Daniel Bryan, you get back to him. Congratulations on being in the main event again. He had, with his injuries, he had been kind of shuffled to the mid-card, Intercontinental title last year. He was in, one of the mid-matches last year at WrestleMania. He was not a factor. This year he's headlining it. And I love how WWE is starting to screw with everyone's minds and trying to make you believe that this is a WrestleMania kind of 30 kind of feel. That's the same thing happened when you had two veteran guys in the main event in 30 of Batista and Randy Orton, and then he came in and stole everyone's thunder. So they're trying to make everyone think that the same thing is going to happen this year.
It's good writing.
Yes.
When I look at this now, I'm going to lead into my prediction here. And this is a tough one because of that good writing. They're really making you think. And I have rethought my prediction over and over.
I have too.
When I look at this also, Daniel Bryan's inclusion, I believe they added him in there because it's safe. Daniel is a good wrestler. He adds a different dynamic in there. He sells. And he draws money. Edge also sells, but I do believe Edge looks a little bit older and like he's lost a bit of a step. So I feel that they add Daniel in there to help maintain that balance because I don't think the WWE trusted Edge versus Roman straight up. But I think it's the safe pick, especially with this being such a big event on Peacock for him. Yeah. So it's hard, and I've looked at this, and my pick is based on what's the end game. I don't believe Edge is the end game here, even though it would be a really great comeback story.
Oh, I'd love it. I would be so excited if he won.
I don't believe Daniel Bryan is the end game here.
I think even you're going the same route I am.
It's so convincing. I feel the story is not done with Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. My pick is Roman Reigns for that reason. And he's going to hold on. He needs to hold on to this title for a long time. I feel, I'm going to do prediction, maybe a spoiler. I feel that Roman versus Rock next year could be the ultimate endgame for this series. But we're talking about now, I am going to say Roman Reigns, final prediction for me.
I know people are going to hate us, but I'm going with Roman as well. I had the same feeling. I was leaning towards Daniel Bryan. I'm thinking Wrestlemania Part 2, 7 years later. He does it again. He stuns everyone. He's the ultimate underdog. That's what WWE's doing. They're building him up. They're making you lean towards Daniel Bryan. All the experts are picking Bleacher Report, Daniel Bryan. And then Vince is going to do what he does best, the Vince swerve.
Yep.
He's going to they're going to give the nod to Roman. Roman wins. It's going to set up Edge versus Daniel Bryan all summer long. You're going to have a feud that carries you through the summer, possibly even to SummerSlam. And I think the big dog, Daniel... And this is the good thing about this, too. You can have Roman Reigns winning now that he is a heel, and who cares if the people boo or not, because that's just part of the program. You're supposed to hate him now.
And Vince always likes to leave people... He likes to send people home at Mania happy. It's been known that that's like his thing. He's like, you always have to send them out the door happy. Even if they boo Roman, does The Rock show up to send people home happy at the end of this? Just to make an appearance?
No.
Okay.
No, he does not show up. The show's going to end with Roman holding the belt with Paul Heyman. And I think that he's hoping by this ending that some of the heel fans that primarily only root for heels that have hated him over the years, this will kind of turn the page and be like, you know what? I love what they're doing with Roman Reigns. I'm on board now. And he starts to win over some of those fans so that when he does switch back to a babyface, he'll have everyone on his side and he's going to have that Rock push. Vince sees Roman as the next Rock, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I think this definitely still leads on. I talked about it before with my Roman Empire story and the Samoan Dynasty, and I feel like this can still be the strong stable moving forward.
Right, and Roman was not at WrestleMania last year. He sat out due to COVID, for safety concerns. 2 years ago, I'm trying to think, WrestleMania 35 was the women closed the show.
Correct.
So it's been 3 years since he has closed the show, and I think this is the perfect opportunity for Roman to have his moment, a little redemption for Roman Reigns.
So that is our final predictions on here. Overall final thoughts at WrestleMania this year. I'm excited for the 2-night format for this year, but we chatted about like how we want to see that in the future. We gave our final thoughts, predictions. One final question before we go. Who's jumping off the pirate ship in Tampa Bay?
You think they're going to use that as a prop?
I think they will. They have to. You have to. Look at this thing. It's a pirate theme. It's the pirate ship. I'm going to go with Kevin Owens as my prediction.
Yeah.
I feel he'll do his cannonball move. Cannonball, pirate ship, it only makes sense for me.
Yeah, I could see that. Or maybe they'll use Bray versus Randy Orton and use that as a prop, and Seth Rollins jumping off of it. Yeah, that's a good prediction. Who do you think will be looking at the whole list? What is the one match that is going to shock everyone? They're like, holy crap, you didn't think that it was going to be a great match and is going to kind of be the surprise of the night. Because for me, I think the match that's going to steal the thunder will be Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. I think that's going to be like, holy crap, that was a great match.
Yeah, it's always hard to predict these ones. The main events, even if they shine, and I do believe both main events, championship matches will shine. Mm-hmm. But it's always hard because if they do well and they are the best match ever, we all just kind of go, okay, that was supposed to happen. They did their job. Mm-hmm. So you're looking for that undercard match, that Savage and Steamboat type match that's just going to take it. I think Seth Rollins and Cesaro has a potential, but this is a tough year because there's just a lot of unknowns below in that lower card. So I'm hoping it's one of those matches. I could see Sami and Kevin. I agree with you because they're best friends and they got history and they know how each other works.
There's one more too. You're going
Braun Strowman?
No.
Bad Bunny?
No. Sasha and Bianca, I think, could be a show stealer.
I feel like we have a lot to look forward to this weekend at WrestleMania. Any other final thoughts before we move on?
Let's go Edge.
Let's see if Nikki T. Michaels gets his birthday wish. Does Edge take the title at Mania this weekend? So for right now, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. This has been Tack Out Talk, and it's game over.